Welcome to the As Yet Untitled Podcast.
With your hosts, Tony and Sean. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays and all
the
that,
likes.
all that other stuff. Yeah. It's final A-Up episode of the year.
Yes, it is.
Episode 5. Yeah, so today's episode's a nice special one. We're doing a Christmas episode. We're going to talk about our favourite Christmas films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's Christmas.
Because it's Christmas. And Christmas films...
'Tis the season.
While normally I'm not a massive fan of Christmas films, there are some really good ones out there. So you got to wade through all of the crap Christmas films, and there are some good ones. So we're going to talk about those good ones today, and I imagine Tony might have some bad ones as well, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so if you haven't checked out the last 2 episodes, they were part 1 and 2 of a double bill of comic characters that we were talking about. So we were speaking about, in the first one, non-Marvel and DC comic characters, and in the second one, it was Marvel and DC. So if you're into comics and all that stuff...
And you want to hear Sean completely nerd out.
Then, yeah. Well, and you got involved.
Yes, I was here.
Yeah, go check those out. I think you shall enjoy them. But anyway, this one. Yeah. What?
Nothing.
Why did you do that face?
No reason.
Why'd you do the face?
You left the water on the other side of the room.
Well, I'll just bring the water over if we need the water.
That's just ridiculous.
Anyway, we won't be back with a new episode until, I imagine, end of January, February time. But if you want some announcements on that for episode 6, follow us on our social media, on Facebook and Instagram. And you can follow all of the podcast pages, Spotify, all that stuff. And we're at the As Yet God, I can't speak English.
The As Yet Untitled Podcast.
That's the one. We're that everywhere. So go follow us. Yeah. Right, let's get straight into it then, shall we?
Hell yeah.
Do you want to go with the first one?
Sure.
Go on. Let's get going.
So I'm going to start mine with a classic Christmas film.
Mm-hmm.
And that is The Santa Claus, starring Tim Allen.
Of course. Tim Allen.
We're
starting off with a bad film.
Yes. Come on. Christmas films are bad films, unless you're feeling the Christmas spirit.
No,
and then
there's
you're
some
really...
good ones.
Okay. But for the most part,
yeah, they're cringy.
Christmas films are bad because they're cringy, but they have the Christmas spirit. They make you feel like you're enjoying Christmas, so you like them anyway.
Isn't Brandy the Christmas spirit? Funny jokes.
Funny as...
Okay, The Santa Claus. When did it come out?
It came out in 1994.
Okay.
So quite an old film, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
In comparison to our lives.
Yes. I have some older ones on mine, I think.
So just a little bit of a rundown of what happens in the film.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I don't know if I've seen this.
Oh, God. Well, possibly spoilers, but it's hard to tell. So Tim Allen and his ex-wife are trying to break the news to their child that, spoiler alert. Was it spoiler alert? No. Cover your ears if you're a child, I guess. Santa's not real.
Whoa, dropping that bombshell.
We're coming in early. So yeah, they're trying to break it to their child that Santa Claus isn't real.
Okay.
But then...
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. And then on Christmas Eve, while they're reading a Christmas book together, like Tim Allen and his son, they hear something on the roof. So he goes outside. It's like, okay, what's that on the roof? He sees Santa up there and he's just like, this isn't right. So he is like, yo, what are you doing? This is all very much like, nothing like how the film actually works. But yeah, it's like, what are you doing? And then Santa falls off of the roof and dies.
Oh. Kills Santa.
So actually, like, it's quite morbid. He kills Santa.
Okay.
And then Santa just, like, disappears. Like, his whole body just vanishes because
so he's
magic.
like Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
He becomes one
the
of the
true,
Force.
Like the true Jedi. Yes.
I believe Santa's a Jedi.
So then after that, in his costume, it says, in case of an emergency, put this on. So then Tim Allen's character's like, ha ha ha, yeah, sure, puts it on. And basically ends up having to be Santa for the rest of the day. For the rest of Christmas. And he has to go out and deliver all these things. All of the presents. And then for the rest of the year, he's like, nothing's wrong. Santa's still not real. But he's a toy salesman, and he has to, like, deal with what Christmas is throughout his whole year. And then, slowly throughout the year, he starts gaining weight. His hair goes grey. He grows a beard that he can't shave away.
Okay.
And then by the time it gets to the next Christmas, oh, surprise, surprise, he is Santa. He is now Santa because he killed Santa. He now is the new Santa.
Wow, it's like a curse.
And basically, the only person who knows it is, like, all of the elves. But, like, you know, they're allowed to know. And his son. But his son is, like, constantly being, like, really insistent. He's like, you are Santa throughout the rest of the year. And he's like, no, Santa's not real. And then, yeah, come Christmas, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm Santa. And now he has to go move to the North Pole and stuff. And it's just, it's so surreal.
Okay.
But yeah, the whole thing is literally just him saving Christmas because, well, without Santa, no one's going to get any of their presents. So
Sure.
So he's Santa. So now he has to do his duty.
So, has he got anyone else famous in it, or is it just Tim Allen?
For the most part, just Tim Allen.
Okay.
Because he's just the guy. Like, he is the one in... Yeah, let me see if I can find anyone else who's, like... Yeah, no one else that I can really recognise in the main cast. Other than David Krumholtz, who's...
his son, right?
No, that's not even his son.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the elves.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, I don't really recognise anyone else from this film.
They're just old American actors,
Yeah, they're
right?
just people who show up in Christmas films.
Yeah. No one cares about them.
Yeah, but it's a classic film. They went on to have, like, 2 other sequels where he ends up meeting, like, Jack Frost.
Oh, yeah. Isn't Jack Frost played by, what's his name?
The terrifying guy.
Famous comedian. I can't think of his name.
Let me quickly get it.
Use the Google. I can picture his face. I just don't know his
Short.
name. Martin Short. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I just know that. I've just seen pictures.
Yeah.
It's got Alan Arkin in it as well. Oh, the sequels seem way better.
Just because they have people you recognise, it doesn't make them better.
Yeah, it's true. They're probably still awful.
But yeah, so it's a really magical film. Like, it's filled with magic, but it's also just got, like, that classic formula of guy who doesn't believe in Christmas has to save Christmas and then ends up getting the Christmas magic and then, yeah.
The Christmas magic.
Christmas magic, you know, like...
Okay.
It's that. It is a really good film. It's got, like, yeah, it's got that real Christmas feeling where you're forced to like it.
You got any trivia?
Not really, no.
Okay. Anything else to say about it?
I focused more on here making sure I could explain what the plot is.
Oh.
But it reminds me a lot of my mum. That's one thing that I could just share to everyone. The film reminds me of my mum.
Yeah, she likes bad films.
A lot of these films remind me of spending Christmas time, like, decorating with my mum and just watching bad Christmas films for, like, the whole of December. But yeah.
Okay. Alright, so I'll go with my one then. My one's, again, it's a classic. This is one that I thought I'd start with this one because everyone knows it. You know, it's like the go-to Christmas film. Home Alone.
Yes.
It's a great film. It came out in 1990, so a bit earlier than your one.
Yeah.
You haven't watched this film because you're insane. I don't understand how you could even say... Like, your mum is the most Christmas-obsessive person I know. I don't know how you haven't seen Home Alone. It's actually insane.
Honestly, it's starting to feel like I'm just very good at avoiding things.
I just don't know how you do it.
I don't even do it on purpose. I want to watch it, but I've now got to the point in my life where everyone has seen it and they don't want to watch it.
Well, it's on every year. I've seen it like 1,000 times, and I'm not into it that much. But okay, I'll give you a quick rundown of the plot. Everyone knows it, but I'll give you a quick summary. It's a kid who gets left at home for Christmas by accident, and his whole family, who's got loads of siblings, they all go on holiday, right? And he's stuck on his home at Christmas, and he then ends up having to defend this rich house, this big house, from 2 idiot burglars using a bunch of, like, homemade traps.
Yeah.
Okay? So, it's Macaulay Culkin is the main kid.
Yeah.
And it's,
I know that much.
It's Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern are the burglars. So, it's hilarious. It's full of slapstick humour. It's that kind of, you know, it's just them getting hit with frying pans and slipping over and stuff like that, right?
Like Tom and Jerry kind of stuff.
Pretty much. Yeah, so it's funny. It's a really easy watching kind of film. You know, because it's just, you can just sit there and watch it. You don't really have to have your brain on, and it's just fun, all right? And anyone can watch it. All right, so I've got some trivia for it.
Right.
Joe Pesci deliberately avoided Macaulay Culkin on set because he wanted him to think that he was mean, obviously to help with the show. And Joe Pesci also kept forgetting that he was filming a family movie during characters on-screen outbursts, because he's like known for doing like angry outbursts in it.
Yeah.
And the director basically had to keep telling him to say fridge instead of the F word. Also, Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern felt indifferent about the movie's potential during shooting, so they intentionally were like acting really over the top in their performance and stuff because they didn't believe the movie would become a massive success. Obviously now it's like the most successful Christmas movie of all time, so I guess it worked. Also, John Candy's in it, and he improvised all of his lines, which is kind of a trademark of John Hughes, the producer. What was that? Oh yeah, because John Hughes, he also he did the Breakfast Club, right? And he made the students in that improvise whenever they were like just sitting there having conversations. So he has like a main plot, and he gets a lot of improvisation.
Yeah.
And it ends up being pretty cool because it ends up feeling more real, I guess. Also, this movie was entered into the Guinness Book of World Records as the highest box office gross comedy, grossing $477 million worldwide.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot.
That's just, straight away, essentially. Also, I found this hilarious. Macaulay Culkin's stunt double was a very short 30-year-old man. Because why not? Also, John Williams did the composer. John Williams was the composer for this. He did all the compositions because the other composer backed out, and John Williams saw like rough cuts of it and was like, "Yeah, I want to do this. This seems awesome." So he did it for him. The part was written especially for Macaulay Culkin by John Hughes because he'd worked with him before on Uncle Buck, which is a great film. You should watch that as well. But several hundred other boys auditioned.
Jesus.
Even though it was just for Macaulay Culkin, and he ended up getting the role anyway because he was the best out of all the auditions.
You gotta have a backup.
Yeah. According to the DVD commentary, Columbus was hesitant to cast Macaulay Culkin because Hughes had just recently had him in Uncle Buck, so he didn't want to appear as a pushover to the film community. But after auditioning everyone, he realized that Macaulay Culkin was really the best part. Like, he was the best choice for the role because he's a good actor.
Yeah.
And the major success of this movie and Home Alone 2 allowed Chris Columbus to actually move on to make projects like Mrs. Doubtfire in 1993 and also the first two Harry Potter movies. So without this film, he probably wouldn't have got the budget or the chance to actually make those other films, which are, arguably also equally as massive, if not more. Kicking off the Harry Potter series, even though I'm not a massive fan, it's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Home Alone. It's funny.
Home Alone.
Worth a watch.
I might try that at some point this year. Maybe we can convince someone to watch it over the Christmas period with us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be on TV at some point. It's not... We could easily watch it.
Nice. Well, I'm now going to go for what is actually... my second most recent film on my list. And it's...
What a title. Second most recent film on my list.
Well, considering it's 2006... So that was 14 years ago.
Oh, I've got quite a few more recent ones than that, I think.
Yeah. So this is one that I feel like a lot of people have seen. And that is Deck the Halls.
Again, I don't think I've seen this. Oh, actually, no. This is the one with Danny DeVito, right?
Yes, this is.
Okay, I think I have seen this one. I don't remember a lot about it, though.
So, it was made in 2006, as I said, and it's starring Matthew Broderick and Danny DeVito.
Okay.
So what it is about two neighbours who compete to have the best Christmas display.
Yes, I have seen this, yeah.
And then that then becomes a challenge. Well, not really a challenge. So Danny DeVito's character already moved into this. He's a recent person, who just moved into the little town or their little street. And he went there already with the goal to have his house seen from space with his Christmas display.
Yeah.
And then it kind of keeps developing from there, and then Danny DeVito ends up becoming the town's Christmas guy, like quote unquote Christmas guy.
Yeah.
Who you would go to be like, oh, we're doing like this thing for Christmas, are you going to be involved? Blah, blah, blah.
And that pisses off his neighbour
Yeah,
because
which pisses off his neighbour who was the guy for it, which is Matthew Broderick. And it's, just, this feud is just between them two, whereas the families... their families are slowly getting along really well.
Yeah.
Like, their kids are getting along together, their wives are getting along better.
But they hate each other.
But they absolutely can't stand each other, and they're going through, like, extreme measures to just piss each other off, really.
Yeah.
And just to outdo the other one. And I just think it's got a lot of those really funny, over-the-top moments. Obviously, it's starring Danny DeVito. Of course, it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it is a cringy Christmas film, though. But then so's Home Alone, so I can't.
Every Christmas film is cringy.
Not every one, just most of them.
Yeah. For the most part, Christmas comedies are cringy.
My next one's a Christmas comedy that's not cringy.
Doubt it.
Ouch.
So yeah, just like a couple little bits of trivia. So, Matthew Broderick's wife in the film is played by Kristen Davis. And anyone who recognises that name, she is in Sex and the City. Alongside Matthew Broderick's real-life wife, Sarah Jessica Parker. So she actually was very nervous to do the role because she was like, well, I will be playing the wife of one of my close friends' husband. You know?
Okay.
Are you following?
Not really.
So Matthew Broderick is going to be pretending to be married to Kristen Davis.
Yeah.
Who is his real life wife's co-worker.
Okay.
So... Kristen Davis said that it was actually really uncomfortable at first. She wasn't sure how it was going to work, if it was going to work at all. And then she actually got an email from Sarah Jessica Parker, which was an approval. So I mean, like, I approve of you pretending to be married to my husband for this film.
Okay. We're getting paid for it.
Yeah. But it's just like they had a couple of rewrites of the script to get rid of, like, raunchier moments, which, to be fair, also changed the
But it's a family-friendly film anyway.
Yeah, it changed the film's rating, because you know what America's like. You add, like, a kiss that lasts for more than a second, and suddenly it goes from PG to PG-13. You can't take your kids to go watch it.
But you can.
I
PG-13 means you can.
I know, but you know what Americans are like.
I get what you mean, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Blame the Americans. So yeah, and also one of the other bits of facts is apparently not many people were happy on set.
Why?
They just weren't. Like, one of them was still dealing with their split from her ex-husband. Danny DeVito didn't even interact with anyone. He flew in to shoot his scenes and then flew back out.
Oh.
And Matthew Broderick would be found walking around the set just shaking his head in disbelief because he just wasn't very happy while filming it and stating that he's hit rock bottom.
So basically it's a terrible film.
Yeah, so the people in the film apparently just didn't like the film, which it is a good film. I think it actually is a pretty good film.
It's a pretty terrible film. But it's a terrible film that I've watched, and I'd probably watch it again if I had to.
Like, it's just the kind of film, like, I wouldn't have any complaints with it on, really.
Made it to your top 10 Christmas films.
Because, like, I have a lot of good memories of it, of, like, as I said, like, a lot of my things I watched with my mum and my nan, or just with my family. Like, it's Christmas time, we're watching a film together. It's
like you grew up in like, a stereotypical American household. It's really weird. When it comes to your Christmas film choice, it's like all of these like stereotypical like American classics. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's still a pretty decent film. I'm underselling it because then anyone can go watch it and not complain to me if they don't like it.
Wow. Okay. Anything else to say about that?
No.
Okay, right. My next one is, I think, Most recent one on my list. Actually, no, it's not. It's the second most recent one.
Here we go.
I'm going there. This one is The Night Before.
Yes.
It came out in 2015, and it's about on Christmas Eve, 3 lifelong friends spend the night in New York looking for the holy grail of Christmas parties. It's directed by Jonathan Levine. It's basically like a Christmas buddy movie. It's got those like rom-com elements, tons of drugs and alcohol, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen, and Anthony Mackie. And it has loads of other guest stars. Like it has Miley Cyrus in it playing herself.
Of course.
And a bunch of other people. It's just a really funny movie. Like, it's serious enough to not just be stupid the whole way through, and it's well thought out in the way that it's done. Like, it's a really decently executed comedy movie.
Yeah.
Director Jonathan Levine revealed on Collider that a lot of the film's comedy was improvised.
Of course.
Which always makes it better.
It has Seth Rogen in it. I feel like he improvises.
And Seth Rogen and Joseph Gordon-Levitt had already done 50-50 together.
Yeah.
So they already had, like, you know, the what's the word I'm looking
banter?
for? That wasn't the word, but sure, that works.
they have a bit of banter.
Yeah, and all of the dramatic moments were written in the script, but basically all the comedy was just improvised. There are also loads of references to Die Hard, which is one of my honorable mentions as a Christmas film, because it is a Christmas film. Including, it's got a character who likes to imitate Hans Gruber, and it has the music to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, and it also has characters singing Run DMC's Christmas and Hollies.
Yes.
Hollis. So it's got loads of like little references to Die Hard, which is just cool, because, you know, Christmas film referencing a Christmas film. Also, Isaac, the character, reenacts a moment from another Christmas film that I've already mentioned on my list, the only other one, Home Alone, because he does the go-to, you know, when Kevin puts his hands on his cheeks and he's letting out the scream. Like, it's like the poster. He does that and reenacts it. Also, actually, I forgot to mention this for Home Alone. That scream, that famous thing, was actually accidental. He was meant to pull his hands away, but he accidentally left them there, and then they just kept it, and now it's become like iconic somehow.
Nice.
But yeah, anyway, this film, it's just like the most fun kind of adult-aimed Christmas film that there is out there, right? It's got sex, drugs, and partying and all that sort of stuff, but it's still a Christmas film, and it's good, yeah. It's not over the top, it's not like freaking, you know, it's not like The Office Christmas Party or something like that. It's done in a very clever way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I like it. It's good. That's all I've got to say about it.
I like films, weirdly enough, that feature, like, Jewish people celebrating Christmas. Because they take the piss out of Christmas so much, and they just look so confused the whole time.
Yeah.
Like Seth Rogen, anytime he's doing anything, because obviously where he isn't ashamed, like, he's very open about the fact that he's Jewish. It's just,
Why would he not be?
I don't know, like... But I just like that he has, like, that Christmas jumper with the menorah on it. He does have that, isn't it?
I think so.
Is it a menorah or is it with the star? I'm gonna quickly... just a quick little Google just to see.
I don't know how you're going to find this particular information. Oh yeah, it's got the star on it.
It's on the front cover.
Yeah.
So it's just like Anthony Mackie with a black Santa on his jumper, and then Seth Rogen with the Star of David on his jumper. Like,
and Joseph Gordon-Levitt just, you know,
just wearing a Christmas jumper because he's a white guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
a really good film.
Yeah. Good, like, over the top comedy. It's got, like, a very different style.
It has some extremes in it, for sure. Yeah. Like Miley Cyrus being in it as herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're all doing drugs and getting drunk. Yeah.
Well, that's not over the top. Lots of people do that at Christmas.
No, but, like, that's not, like, you know, classic, oh, let's get into the Christmas spirit kind of.
Maybe not for you.
Not even for you.
Sure. Whatever you say.
Anyway. I'm going to bring up one of my films that I have already mentioned in a previous podcast from just a couple weeks back.
Okay.
And that is Love Actually, which showed up in my rom-coms.
Oh, right.
So, just a little reminder of what Love Actually is if you haven't gone to go watch that episode. But you should go watch that episode.
Yes, watch it.
So, it was made in 2003. And it follows the lives of multiple different people around the Christmas period. And it's mostly focused on, like, love and relationships and all that gross stuff. And then when you get to the end, you find out all of these stories are linked in some way.
Yeah, because there's like a bunch of different stories going on at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And then they all
so
link
you're
together.
so you're following all of these different people, just not aware that all of them are going to connect in at least one way.
I've also not seen this film, by the way.
This film is one thing that, like, what I usually do, I haven't been able to do it this year because you just haven't watched the film with me, is I like to watch it to get myself into the Christmas spirit, because it has a lot of... Actually, because it's British, so I have wrote this down.
Yeah.
Because it's a British film, it has a lot of elements of Christmas that feel right.
Yeah, that we can relate to.
Yeah, so, like, the types of present buying that they have, where there's kind of like a little bit of mania, and there's like, but not in the kind of over the top way America does, like Christmas shopping mania. And then like the type of work parties where everyone's just kind of standing around in their office with like a Christmas hat on and just like a glass of champagne because that's all they're gonna do for their Christmas party. And then also just one of the most iconic things about growing up in Britain is the Christmas plays or the Christmas shows at primary school.
Oh, God.
Like,
Well, in fact, there's loads of films about that, isn't it? Isn't like, the
the
Nativity and all of the sequels, yeah.
yeah, but this one, like, just features it, and it just, because it looks over a certain amount of time, like the whole of December, really, it really builds up on that vibe of it's Christmas, and, like, it's just got a really nice feeling to it. So that's why I really enjoy it.
Okay.
And just, yeah, because it's not overly Americanized. In fact, it features a scene with, like, a couple of Americans, and it's just... It feels weird because it's a British guy hanging out with a bunch of Americans, and it's, like, it shows just how stupid just American Christmas is.
Yeah, well, America does Thanksgiving more than they do Christmas.
Yeah. And also just want to... just a little shout out to the Bill Nye version of Love Is All Around with Christmas Is All Around.
See, that is the only reason I want to watch that film.
It's one of the best intros to a Christmas film.
Is the intro?
It's the intro.
Oh, well, then I'll just watch the intro.
Wow. And it does show up around the film as well.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really good. I love this film.
Well, as you've done one that we've spoken about before,
Yeah.
I'm going to do one that we've spoken about before as well.
Alright.
This one showed up on my musicals list.
Right.
So it's a while back. It's from season 1. If you haven't watched that, it's on YouTube. It isn't on anywhere else because our season 1's only on YouTube. So you should go watch it. That one features our friend Dan.
Shout out to Dan.
Shout out Dan. You're listening. You better be. Yeah. Anyway, this one is Muppets Christmas Carol, which is incredible. Came out in 1992. Has Michael Caine playing Scrooge, and the Muppets and all the other Dickens characters. It's funny as fuck. Basically, it's the best remake of a classic Christmas story, and it has great music numbers in it because it's funny. They're all like made hilarious. The thing that makes this film so great though is that Michael Caine told the producer and the director Brian Henson that he's going to play this movie like he's working with a Royal Shakespeare Company. He's never going to wink or do anything Muppety. He's going to play Scrooge as if it's the most dramatic role there is, and that there's no puppets around him. And Henson was like, yes, do it. And that's why it's so brilliant, because he is basically just playing the role of Scrooge as if he's in this really serious thing, but then he's playing off of Muppets that aren't doing that, and they are being Muppety. And Michael Caine actually considers this role as one of the most memorable roles that he's played to him.
Well, hell yeah.
Yeah, because it's awesome.
Doesn't everyone who's worked with the Muppets say that, including, like, Jason Segel?
Jason Segel. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, yeah, but it's Sir Michael Caine. He's done everything, and he's like, no, this is one of the most memorable things he's ever done. To be fair, it is incredible. This one gets me in the Christmas spirit more than anything else. I watched this loads as a kid, and I'll probably watch it again this year, because it's been a little while since I've seen it. It's the best version of the Christmas Carol story, by far. It's also the first, I think, but also possibly the only Muppets film where Kermit isn't the lead.
Wow.
I think it's only the first. I think they had done a few others where he's not the lead. But yeah, it was the first one where Kermit wasn't the lead role.
But he's significant in the story, like of
Yeah,
the
but
Christmas
it's-
Carol story. Come on, it's Tiny Tim.
Yeah, but it's... What?
Or
No, he's
oh,
not
it's
Tiny Tim.
Robin the Frog. It's
That's not Kermit, though.
no, so it's a different.
Yeah, no, Kermit plays,
yeah.
what's it, Bob Cratchit.
Right.
Tim
yeah.
Cratchit? I don't remember the name. I've done this terribly.
One of the other ones.
No, he plays, Scrooge's main guy, right? The
Yeah.
bookkeeper. Anyway, so according to the producer, Gonzo and Rizzo are the narrators because he wanted to incorporate the narration and the prose of the original novel,
Yeah.
and it's done really well. This is also the first Muppet project after Jim Henson died, the creator of the Muppets.
Yeah.
So Kermit the Frog was handed down to Steve Whitmire, who's done a great job of it. He said that he was incredibly nervous taking over such an iconic character. I mean, as anyone would be. But the night before he recorded Kermit's songs for the movie, he had a dream where he met Henson in a hotel lobby and told him how unsure he was. And in the dream, Henson reassured Whitmire that the feeling would pass. And then after waking up after that dream, he was confident and able to do the part.
That's sweet.
And in an interview, Kermit the Frog stated that the most important piece of acting advice that was ever given to him was by Sir Michael Caine on the set of this movie, and his advice was never blink.
Okay, no, we need to unpack this statement. One, in an
Yes.
interview with Kermit the Frog,
Yes,
getting acting advice.
yes.
He's a puppet.
No, he's Kermit the Frog, and Michael
blink.
Caine never blink. Oh, honestly, it's fucking hilarious.
Oh,
it's
God.
great. Yeah. What else have I got to say about it? The Ghost of Christmas Past effects were created by making a special puppet that was operated inside a tank of water and then green screened into the movie, which made it look like the puppet was floating. Because it wasn't like, there was no like CGI or anything, it was all
Yeah.
puppets, but it's the Muppets. And they did a brilliant job. And it's just a really good film. Music's good, it's also really emotional. It's great. If you want to hear me talking about it more, go watch the musicals episode.
I just want to say something about this.
Yeah?
It was released on my birthday.
Oh, really?
Just 6 years before I was born.
Oh.
But yeah, it was released.
Does that count?
Yes, it was released on December 11th, and I think that's just significant. Maybe I should watch it.
If you say so. Well, you should watch it, yeah. We're watching it this year, because you've not seen it. I don't know how we've both seen all these films and yet not seen either's films. It doesn't make any sense.
You won't let me watch Christmas films with you, because you're boring.
Because there's better films out there. We'll watch Christmas films this year. It's happening. We're doing it. I mean, this episode's coming out Christmas Day, right? So we would have watched most of these films again already anyway.
Yeah. Our opinions might change.
That's true. Alright, what's your next one?
So I'm going to go for an animated one, actually. I think it is it's my only animated film on there.
Okay.
It is actually quite surprising, considering there's quite a few animated Christmas films.
I think I have 2 animated Christmas films on mine. And they're my 2 favourite ones, I think. Right, carry on.
So this is my most recent one, and it came out in 2011. I haven't found another decent Christmas film. In fact, I don't remember watching one since then.
There is a better one.
Oh yes, I do.
And that's one on my list that is coming up.
There is that other one which I knew you preferred more, so I left it for you to talk about.
Nice one.
And anyway, so my one is Arthur Christmas. Came out in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And the main reason I remember this film is because I went to watch it for my birthday one year.
Oh, wow. I've never seen this film. I do want to, though, because it does look good. It's got a good cast.
Yeah, so it's starring James McAvoy as Arthur, and then just as some of the other characters that I forgot to write down who they was playing as. So this has also got Bill Nighy in it.
Oh, yeah?
Hugh Laurie and Jim Broadbent.
Nice. And a bunch of other people, I imagine.
Yeah, and a bunch of other people, but these are like the main...
Yeah, I mean, you tell me that Bill Nye and Hugh Laurie's in something, I'm going to watch it.
It's weird because Hugh Laurie plays a bit of a dick.
Yeah, he's good at playing dicks. That's what he does. That's the whole of House, isn't it? He's just a dick.
That's true. Anyway, so this all of them are a part of the Santa lineage. I didn't want to say the Claus family because I don't actually think they refer to themselves as the Claus family. They're not like Mrs. Claus or Mr. Claus.
Okay.
It's just Santa and Grand Santa. And they kind of go up like that as if it's just they're passing down their first name. Like, that is it. They're passing down the title of Santa.
Of Santa, yeah. Okay.
Except for Hugh Laurie, who plays Steve.
Well, I mean, Santa isn't Santa's name anyway.
Yeah, so it's just kind of going. But yeah, anyway, they're all part of, like, the Santa family. And the role of Santa is... It goes to Arthur's older brother. That's why he's called Arthur. Because he's not...
Santa, yeah.
yeah.
Because, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Like, he has an older brother who's
like
the mantle.
Vice Santa. If his older brother dies, he'd become Santa, right?
Possibly.
It's just like a monarchy.
But anyway, so in this world, Steve Christmas
Okay.
he has this whole high-tech system on how to deliver all of the presents in 1 year. Like, everything is done so efficiently. It's like a massive factory. Everything is done in the most optimal way that it possibly could happen. But then, just like any classic Christmas film, or just like any classic film that that needs storytelling, while he's on one of the jobs, a kid nearly sees him. And while this happens, they shoot off very quickly, and then they drop a present. And then Arthur finds out, and he's all like, he's big on Christmas. He's like, oh my god, Christmas is the best thing in the world. Which, if this is your entire life, I feel sorry for him. Like, his entire life is Christmas.
Well, it is a Christmas film, so, you know.
But yeah, he's just like, oh my god, Christmas. And when he finds out that a toy's gone missing, he's like, no, we have to deliver this toy. We can't let a single child go without a toy for Christmas. So he goes and gets this toy and is determined that he is going to deliver this toy within 2 hours. And he doesn't have any of the high-tech equipment because his brother is out with that still delivering the rest of the presents. So him and Grand Santa embark on a journey using the old sleigh and the old reindeers to go deliver this present. And obviously... just because it needs to have some form of storytelling, there are other problems they encounter throughout the whole way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really good. Like, it's nice, it's really sweet, like, it's incredibly sweet, to the point where it's like, oh my god, this is just so wholesome and nice. But it's also really cool because it answers the questions about how Santa manages to deliver all of his presents in one night. Rather than just like...
with loads of technology.
Yeah, with loads of technology and like guns that
German
shoot
efficiency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a really good film. I definitely want to watch it again because I think I've watched it like once or twice.
Yeah, I'll watch it because I've not seen it and it does sound good.
It's a good film to watch with kids as well. Like,
well, it's a Christmas film.
no, but like, so's The Night Before, but...
Yeah, but that's like the only adult Christmas film I can think of.
Yeah, it's like really good to watch with young kids as well because it really pushes the whole Santa is real in this one. Yeah. Arthur Christmas, go watch it.
Okay. Alright, my next one is possibly the oldest on my list. Might be the oldest on either of our lists. And it's the best. It's awesome.
Right.
Gremlins. Came out in 1984. It's a comedy horror set at Christmas. Directed by Joe Dante and written by Chris Columbus.
Huh.
Like, you know the film. It's about a kid who gets a cute little creature with 3 rules about caring for it, which he then proceeds to break. And that creates a horde of evil gremlins that cause chaos around the town. This is another one that you haven't seen, Tony, because you are a wrong'un and you somehow haven't seen all of the best Christmas films.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love it. It's great. Like, it's a chaotic film. It's got those horror aspects, but it's also got it's just funny, and it's also Christmassy. And Gizmo, who is the actual, the main gremlin, or the Mogwai, before he creates all of the others, he's just cute as hell. The story's really good. My friend Aaron, shout out to Aaron, named his cat Gizmo, because it's a cool cat name as well.
It is a good cat name.
It's a really good film. The set for the town, Kingston Falls, is the same one used for Back to the Future. And both movies were filmed on the Universal Studios backlot. In Cantonese, Mogwai means devil, demon, or gremlin. So that's why he's Gizmo's a Mogwai. The film was released on the same day as Ghostbusters.
Oh my god.
Yeah. One of the studio notes to the director Joe Dante and executive producer Steven Spielberg on seeing the first cut was that there were too many gremlins. Spielberg then suggested cutting all of the gremlins out and calling the movie People. I just love how bitchy Steven Spielberg can be. I mean, yeah, too right. Zach Galligan recounted in an interview that when the movie was made, there was no CGI, so all of the gremlins were animatronics. Each costing between $30,000 to $40,000. And when everyone left for the day of the set, security would have to search everyone's trunks of their cars to make sure that nothing was stolen because they're that expensive.
God, yeah.
The original plan was to attempt to have monkeys play the gremlins, but it was abandoned because the test monkey, when had the gremlin mask on, panicked and destroyed the entire office room and shat everywhere. So they straight away was just like, okay, puppets it is. Yeah.
I mean, I completely understand where that monkey's coming from. That would be terrifying.
After watching Tim Burton's earlier short films, executive producer Steven Spielberg considered him to direct this movie, but he decided against it because at the time, Tim Burton had never directed a full feature-length movie.
Huh.
Yeah. Also, the Gizmo puppet was so well made that when Billy first opens the box and the dog is barking at it and growling at it in the film, that was actually real because the dog thought it was a real creature.
Aww.
So it was growling at it because it was genuinely
That's
concerned because it thought it was real. And Gizmo was also the inspiration for the Furby, the multi-million selling stuffed toy in the 90s.
Ugh.
And the sequel was really good to this film as well.
Yeah.
The creator actually thinks the sequel was better. But, I mean, they're both good. They're both really good films. Yeah, and I feel like Chris Columbus makes a lot of Christmas films, and he's really good at them. Because he also made Home Alone as well, didn't he? Did I say that? Yeah, he did Home Alone. And he also did... what else was it I was thinking of as a Christmas film that he made?
He did another one with Tim Allen. Can't remember what it's called. Christmas with the Cranks.
Yeah. He's done a few Christmas films.
And he's also... he was the producer on a film that is later on my list.
Oh, nice.
So he just shows up and spreads some Christmas cheer, apparently.
Yeah, good on him.
But anyway, you mentioned Tim Burton.
I did indeed.
Which brings me to my next one.
Oh, he comes up on my list too. Guess I'll talk about him next as well.
So, mine isn't actually a Christmas film, but it features a significant portion of the film set at Christmas, so it is a Christmas film. At least that's where I'm...
Okay.
That's
kind of what Gremlins is as well. It's just set at Christmas.
Yeah. And that is Edward Scissorhands.
Okay.
A beautiful, because it's not a horror film, so I'm going to say, surreal, gothic film.
Tim Burton.
Surreal
Tim Burton is the adjective you need here.
Surreal, artsy, Tim Burton gothic film.
Yeah.
It came out in 1990.
Okay.
Starring one of the classic Tim Burton actors of Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And Winona Ryder.
Hell yeah. She's great in that film.
This was before she had her complete mental breakdown and stopped being in films.
She's back now, though.
She's back. She's working her way back, but she did have a complete mental breakdown, and I appreciate the fact that she was like, "No, I'm fed up of the movie industry."
Well, everyone needs a mental breakdown every now and then.
Yeah, it's good for the soul. But yeah, so as I said, this technically isn't a Christmas film, but it is. So, while I was researching this, I had a very important thing I needed to Google. Is Edward Scissorhands a robot?
No, I refuse to even accept that as a question.
So, he's a humanoid being created by an inventor, and he was left unfinished with the scissors as his replacement for his hands. So technically, yes, he is he's an android?
It says humanoid being, which means he's just a human. They tried making a human.
He is a machine. There is a massive scene in it in which it proves that he is a machine.
What? When?
You know, when you meet the inventor, and, like, you see him, and he's, like, he's looking at all these, like, machines that he has that make Christmas cookies, and he, like, puts a heart up to the machine, and he's like, oh, yes, I could make this become an entire human-like being, and then gets halfway through, is about to give him hands, and then he just dies.
Okay. So he's an android?
Yes.
Or a cyborg or something? Okay.
Something like that.
Whatever you say.
But yeah, so he's left with just his scissors for his hands, and that's why he can't really, like, he's, you know, shunned.
Because that makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, let's make an android, and it's like, oh, let's put scissors on his hands until I can put fingers there. You just wouldn't put anything there, or you just put the fingers there, wouldn't you? What a stupid film.
I know. We don't acknowledge that part. Anyway, so he is found in the old house where he was created by a lovely woman who takes him in to live in their weird, perfect town. Like,
yeah.
They have, like, that really surreal. Everyone has the exact same house, it's just a different colour, and they have the same car, but it's just a different colour.
It's like a suburban nightmare in my mind. But
Yeah, that actually is, like, hell. And then, he ends up, like, people become really intrigued by him because he's very friendly, and he's very softly spoken, and he's very just timid. So people end up becoming, like, really loving him, and he, like, cuts people's hair, and he, like, cuts dogs' hair, and he trims bushes, because that's just what he does. He's just nice. But then he commits one single crime, and then suddenly he's a bad guy. And then, fast forward a little bit, then it's Christmas, and everyone's preparing for, like, a Christmas party. They want to have a Christmas party, but a lot of people are like, no, we don't want Edward to be there, because he's a bad guy. He's not. They just believe he is, and they suddenly like, oh no, he's a bad guy. And then, this is where it has, like, what I consider one of the best Christmas scenes ever. Because he's making an ice sculpture outside. Like, he's making this beautiful, huge ice sculpture. It's, like, the size of 2 people. And as he's cutting it, it's making snowflakes. Because of all the ice shavings. It's all just going everywhere. And then Winona Ryder comes out, and she's, like, twirling in it, and it's magical.
Okay.
It's like that scene specifically is just like, oh my god, this is Christmas. And then after that scene, the whole town just starts turning on him, and all hell breaks loose.
Torches and pitchforks.
Yeah, pretty much. But, like, you know, the suburban white woman version.
Talking to his manager.
Phoning the police and standing gossiping in the street.
Yeah.
You know. And then he ends up running off to live in his little, like, house up on the hill in this very scary abandoned house.
Yeah.
And then every year he creates ice sculptures again, and that's the only way that the town gets snow. Because the town doesn't get snow. So he's up at the top of the mountain hill thing, doing his little, like, snip, ice shaving things, and then it creates snow, which now goes along to the town, and he does it every Christmas. And it's really magical.
And he's on his own up there.
Yeah, and he's just sitting there on his own, just
living forever.
Yeah, like an immortal being. Just up there. All he does in his life is trim bushes and make ice sculptures.
This is a stupid film. I don't know how it's... Like, it's actually a good film, but it's so stupid. Nothing makes any sense about it at all.
It's got the Tim Burton charm where none of it makes any sense, but you love it so much.
Okay.
But yeah.
Do you have anything else to say about it?
No, just go watch Edward Scissorhands to remind you about how much, 1, white people suck, 2, that just, Tim Burton's great.
Well, now I'm going to talk about the Tim Burton Christmas film.
Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Obviously.
Which, again, was also on my musicals list, so go watch the musical episode. This came out in...
I often forget that this is a musical.
Yeah. Came out in 1993, directed by Henry Selick, produced by Tim Burton.
Tim Burton.
The screenplay was by Carolyn Thompson. The story was by Tim Burton, and so were all the characters, obviously. Starring Danny Elfman, Chris Sarandon, Catherine O'Hara, William Hickey, Glenn Shaddix, Paul Rubens, Ken Page, Ed Ivory, blah, blah.
My favourite.
In 2001, Walt Disney began to make a sequel for it. But rather than using stop motion, they wanted to use computer animation, and Tim Burton convinced Disney to drop it because, you know, the idea was to not do any sequels or anything because he wanted it to be special and it be its own thing and it to have the purity that it needs. Also, Danny Elfman found writing Nightmares songs as one of the easiest jobs he's ever had because he said he had a lot in common with Jack Skellington, who he voiced all the singing voice. Like he did all the singing for Jack, whereas the talking voice was someone else.
So I'm just thinking about the idea of having things in common with Jack Skellington.
It took a group of around 100 people 3 years to complete this movie. For 1 second of film, up to 12 stop motion moves had to be made. The first fully animated Disney film to not be traditionally animated. And it's also based on a poem, which was written by Tim Burton when he was an animator for Disney.
What?
Yep. And the original poem only had Jack, Sally, and Zero.
It's a good basis.
Yeah. It's such a great film. It's for those of you that haven't seen it, watch it. What are you doing? Listen to the musicals episode for me to talk about it a bit more. But it's essentially, it's a Halloween town world where it's all like Halloween creatures and it's all spoopy. And Jack, who is the Pumpkin King, he's like the Halloween king. He is fed up and he wants to find something new. And then he stumbles across Christmas Town and he accidentally gets rid of Santa and then tries to become Santa.
Okay, no. It's not an accident.
Well, okay, yeah, he gets rid of Santa and then becomes Santa and tries to do Santa's things, but he does it very badly because he only knows how to scare people. And then he realises at the end that, no, actually, he does want to be the Pumpkin King and he wants to do Halloween. He just needs to do it new, in his own way, in a better way.
Yeah.
And it's good. And it's the whole love story between him and Sally. And, like, all of the characters are really good. It's really funny. The world is so good. All of the stop motion is just brilliant. Also, I really love the world in the first Kingdom Hearts game as well.
Oh my god, yes.
It's one of my favourite missions in that one, or levels. And it doubles as a Halloween film and a Christmas film.
What more could you want?
Yeah. My favourite characters in it are obviously Jack, Zero, and also Oogie Boogie. Oogie Boogie was the hardest one to animate, apparently, because he's just like a cloth sack, essentially.
Yeah.
But he is awesome. It's such a good film. I definitely recommend it. It's actually the top of my list, but I just thought I'd talk about it now because you mentioned Tim Burton.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd go for it. That's all I have to say about it though.
Wasn't there something about him about them needing like a ridiculous amount? They have like a ridiculous amount of Jack's heads, like different like facial expressions. Like they had like probably hundreds of different like molded heads just of his facial expression. Yeah,
that sounds about right. Also, they wanted to give him eyes because they wanted to make it so that he could, because eyes were like the most expressive things. But but Tim Burton was just like, no, we're not. He needs to not have that. And then they just managed to make the whole like really expressive.
They do it so well, actually.
Oh yeah,
like, he is a very expressive character considering he doesn't actually have any facial features.
Yeah, they did a really good job. So good.
I just realised, Catherine O'Hara, isn't that from, Beetlejuice? She's in Beetlejuice, I believe.
That sounds about right. He tends to use a lot of the same people for his films.
If not, she's at least in, The Addams Family.
Yeah. Alright, so what's next on your list?
So this is my final one. How many more do you have?
I've got 2 more. So shall I go for another one?
Yeah, you go another one.
Alright, my next one is most people's favourite Christmas film.
Right.
I feel like. Directed by Jon Favreau. Came out in 2003. Written by David Berenbaum. It's Elf.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, it is such a good film. It is genuinely a really good Christmas film. Jon Favreau is so good at making films. It's scary how good he is at making stuff. Anyway,
he dedicates his whole
being
thing to it.
Yeah. So it's got a bunch of awesome actors in it. Like it's obviously got Will Ferrell as Buddy the Elf, the love interest Zooey Deschanel, who is just the best in this film specifically. She is just incredible. It's also got Amy Sedaris, Bob Newhart, James Caan, Peter Dinklage, and a bunch of other people. And the whole beginning sequence, which is in Winter Wonderland, where Elf is huge.
Yeah.
Where Buddy the Elf is huge.
Yeah.
And all the elves are small. That wasn't done with CGI or anything else. It was done using like a classic cinematography thing called false perspective. And that's how they used to make Elf look huge. And it was like almost impossible to do because it was just so hard because like they'd have to do it so that like for example, when Elf sits on his grandpa's lap or whatever it's called, that guy's looking after him, Bob Newhart, when he sits in his lap, he had to sit on a chair with a child's hands on his shoulders, and then Bob Newhart had to sit like 20 foot back and just look like he was sitting behind him. And all of those things were done like that, so it took ages to film them, but it, like, you can't tell when you watch it. Yeah. It looks incredible.
They do it in such a ridiculous way.
Yeah. And I've got some trivia about it as well.
Yes.
So, several minor traffic accidents occurred when Will Ferrell walked through the Lincoln Tunnel in his costume because people were so surprised and distracted from their driving to see him wearing an elf outfit. The cotton balls that Buddy eats while he's in the doctor's office were actually cotton candy that hadn't been dyed yet. The scene when Buddy eats different candies and pastries and stuff with the spaghetti had to be shot twice because the first time he did it, Will Ferrell vomited.
Yeah, I remember seeing about that actually because it is actually all of this gross ass food.
Yeah, well, it's not gross. I probably enjoy it, but and he also had he was sick quite a lot during the film process because he had to eat so many different candy.
Yeah.
On the final day of shooting in New York, it was just Jon Favreau and Will Ferrell and a cameraman driving around the city looking for locations to shoot. And they would just jump out and ask pedestrians if they'd be willing to be extras for some quick cash. Will Ferrell paraded around just acting like Buddy, and most of the montage when Buddy first arrives in New York City was filmed in that one day when they were just doing that. Like the shoe shine scene and the jumping between traffic scene, all those.
And that one way, wasn't it like there's that guy who is out jogging in a red outfit. And he goes up to him and it's like, Santa!
Yeah.
And that guy honestly had no idea what was happening.
Yeah. It's brilliant. Jon Favreau is such a great director and producer. Also, the design for Santa's workshop, as well as the elf uniforms and all that beginning stuff in this thing, it's all directly taken, like straight up stolen from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the 1964 film.
Right.
But they're allowed to do that. From the TV, it's a TV special, and they're allowed to do that because all the stop motion animation and stuff that was used in that never actually, like, there was an error in the copywriting, so anyone can use it. So they just used it directly, but they did it in a good way.
Yeah, they did a nice thing
it was designed to look exactly the same. And the apartment in which Buddy's dad lives is the exact same building that Dana Barrett lived in Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
Also, Jon Favreau used a remote control trigger for the Jack in the Box toys to get startled reactions from Will Ferrell. So, like, it actually is trying to scare him, sort of thing. And Buddy's 12-second belch, the massive burp that he does, was supplied by voice actor Maurice LaMarche. I butchered that name pronunciation probably, but he's best known for his character The Brain from Pinky and the Brain, and he also did all of the operatic belching in the Animaniacs.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, Zooey Deschanel performs 3 songs in this film. One of them is Baby It's Cold Outside, which she sings in the shower, accompanied by Will Ferrell. And then she sings again with Leon Redbone over the end titles. She later made an official recording with her indie duo She and Him, which released on their album A Very She and Him Christmas, released in 2011. So she's actually a good singer, and she did all of those and released them. And Jon Favreau's son plays young Buddy when he's sitting on Papa's knee.
Aww.
Yeah, it's just a good film. Like, it's clever, it's funny, it's got like just the right amount of kind of like adult aimed humor and like the childishness.
Yeah.
And it's really good. And they was gonna make a sequel, but then Will Ferrell was just like, no, I'm not doing it because it would look silly if as like a 40-odd-year-old man walking around in an elf outfit. And yeah, and I agree. I think it should be left as, just leave it be.
Yeah, like it's also just not necessary to have another one.
Yeah, there's no need for it. It's a great film. Leave it there. It's a classic. It's one that's on TV every Christmas, and everyone loves it.
Yeah.
Right. What's your last one? And then I've got my last one after.
So my last one, I have heard from many people that this is not actually a good film, and I will still say it is one of my favourite Christmas films of all time. And that is Jingle All the Way.
I don't even know what this one is.
So it came out in 1996, and it's starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, it's this one. Okay.
And Sinbad.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the worst film ever made, and I actually kind of want to watch it because of that.
So, am I allowed to give you spoilers for the sake of the podcast here?
How much spoilers is it?
I'm going to say a fair bit.
Oh,
I don't have to. I can just...
No, go for it. It's a bad film. I'm not going to care that much.
So, the main plot of this is that Arnold is a father who promised his son that he would get him the Turbo Man toy for Christmas.
Turbo Man.
Turbo Man!
And he gets his voiced by Arnie as well.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
But it's Turbo Man, so, like, this Turbo Man toy is, like, the superhero, he's the cool guy. But, yeah, Arnold...
Okay.
Arnold forgot, basically. He forgot to get him it, and then now, it's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
He still hasn't got him
Go to dad move.
Yeah, he still hasn't got him this Turbo Man toy, and obviously, it is, like, the hot toy this Christmas.
Okay.
So, you can't get it anywhere. He's going to every shop and everywhere, like, he can't find it. And then, along his travels, he also finds a mailman, who is played by Sinbad.
Or Men and Mal.
Yeah.
Horrible jokes today.
Yeah, who's also on this same journey to get a Turbo Man toy for his son.
Okay.
So they're both having the exact same, just like, battle. And then there's like on a radio show they was giving out one as a competition. Both of them end up like going to this radio station to pick it up, and neither of them get the Turbo Man toy because obviously they don't. There's problems, and basically things just keep going from like bad to worse. And then on Christmas Eve there's a parade where there's going to be a Turbo Man like float, which actually has a real life Turbo Man, which is just an actor dressed as Turbo Man. So Arnie ends up going to this parade so he can at least be with his child and not be the deadbeat dad that he is at this point, because he just he didn't get his kid the toy that he promised to get him on Christmas. He just feel all bad. But then I can't remember exactly what happens, but he ends up having to be on the run, like he's hiding from the police. I think he accidentally assaulted a police officer.
Okay.
From what I remember of it, he like did something wrong with a police officer, so he's like on the run, and then he ends up in the preparation area for the parade, where he gets mistaken for the actor who plays Turbo Man.
Because he is Turbo... Exactly. If I saw Arnie, I'd be like, yep, that's Turbo Man.
Because obviously, yeah, he's just like this beefcake of a man. So they were like, okay, we need to get you into your costume, and you get to pick a kid in the parade to give this limited edition Turbo Man toy to.
Oh, wow.
So then obviously you can see where this goes. He's got to pick his son and everything's got to be cool, but then obviously there's still more problems. Friggin' Sinbad still tries to get this Turbo Man toy from him. And yeah, it's just like, it's just got so many of like this chaotic Christmas like theme where everything goes wrong. There's hectic Christmas like atmosphere. But also, it was done to basically take the pee out of a different toy craze that there was a couple years beforehand. I can't remember what toy it was. I think it might have been Tickle Me Elmo. A couple years beforehand, where there was a similar craze for the toy. So the film was written with that kind of in mind, being like, ha ha ha, yeah, people are crazy around
Capitalism.
Christmas. Yeah. And then the exact same year, it happened with another toy.
Oh.
So after they released it, another toy they had the same problem with. So
That doesn't really happen now. Now it just happens with, like, the PS5.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, I really like this film just because it's a very ordinary story until you get to the end and he's dressed as Turbo Man. But yeah, so it has the whole gotta get a last minute present for Christmas. Oh no, can't get it. Let me find this other way of getting it. And then, oh no, that problem falls through as well. So yeah, I think also it was actually imitating the Cabbage Patch Dolls craze. Okay. And then it was the same year mimicking the Tickle Me Elmo craze.
Yeah.
And also, as I said this earlier about the film, this was one of the ones that was produced by Chris Columbus.
Yeah.
So it's got
the worst film he's ever made.
Yeah.
Wait, you can actually buy Turbo Man action figures on eBay?
Yes, you
Let's
can.
get some.
But the thing is, they didn't actually get merch done in time for the film's release. So, you know, like thinking, oh yeah, if we make a Turbo Man doll in the film, we can then sell Turbo Man dolls. They didn't actually have enough time to make the marketing to make the toys in time for the film's release. So it was a little while later that you could eventually get the Turbo Man action figure yourself. And also, just thinking, Arnold Schwarzenegger really enjoyed being on this film because he got to play a ordinary man. Just celebrating Christmas.
Instead of a god.
Yeah.
Because that's what he essentially is.
Yeah, because he had just been doing, like, Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
And things like that. So he was just, like, he just wanted to be himself and just him celebrating Christmas in an ordinary family film. He just really liked that.
Mm.
And also, just because I thought I'd mention it, they considered Tim Allen to play the
God's
character.
sake. Tim Allen needs to stop doing Christmas films.
Yeah, and then I think it was just that, Arnold Schwarzenegger just got the role. But also, there was another thing. There was someone who was deemed too short to play next to Arnold Schwarzenegger. So Arnold's 6'2".
Yeah.
And the other person that they couldn't actually have, like, standing next to him was 5'3".
Who was it?
Joe Pesci.
Oh, wow. So he was Joe Pesci in all of his films as well, Chris Columbus. Okay.
So yeah, it had, like, Joe Pesci there, but then, he was too short to actually play against.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly.
Despite
the fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger had just been in Twins.
Yeah.
With Danny DeVito.
The shortest man ever, other than Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, like...
Warwick Davis.
Danny DeVito, the shortest, normal-ish sized man.
The shortest non-dwarf.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much.
Okay, I'm going to take the final one.
Go for it.
This is the newest one that either of us have spoken about. It came out in 2019. And I believe it's a Netflix special. It's a Netflix
Possibly?
one. But it's incredible. I was so surprised by this. Klaus. It won loads of awards. It's an animated film. I'm going to list some of the people that worked on it, and I can guarantee you've not heard of any of them, because I haven't heard of any of them, which is kind of awesome. So it's produced by, and I'm going to butcher all of these names, I'm sorry, Jinko Goto, Sergio Pablos, Marissa Roman, Matthew Tivan, Mercedes Gamero, Mikel Lahaza Ortiz, Gustavo Ferrada. The screenplay was by Sergio Pablos, Jim Mahoney, and Zach Lewis. The story was by Sergio Pablos. It's starring. Okay, so this is where we're going to start recognizing names. So the main two people are Jason Schwartzman and J.K. Simmons. Now, I love J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
His voice acting is incredible as well. It also has Rashida Jones, Will Sasso, Nida Margaret Laba, Sergio Pablos is also one of the voice actors, Norm Macdonald, and Joan Cusack. And the music is by Alfonso Gonzalez Aguilar. So many hard names to pronounce. So yeah, it's made by a bunch of people that I've never heard of, and yet I think it might be my favourite Christmas film. The animation is phenomenal.
Oh, this is actually
the voice acting is incredible.
It is a beautiful film.
Yeah, it's amazing. So what it's about, it's like an alternate origin story of Santa Claus, independent from the usual Saint Nicholas of Myra, and it's basically using it. It's set in the 19th century, and it revolves around a postman stationed in an island to the far north who befriends a reclusive toy maker called Klaus. It got so many. It got hang on. I'm going to list the awards that it got. So it got 7 awards at the 47th Annie Awards, including Best Animated Feature. It won Best Animated Film, 73rd British Academy, and the 73rd British Academy Film Awards. No. What? At. The film was also nominated at the 92nd Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature, making it the first ever animated film from Netflix to be animated for an Academy Award, alongside Missing Link and I Lost My Body, but it lost to Toy Story 4, which is bullshit, because Toy Story 4 sucked.
It has nothing on Klaus.
Toy Story 3 and 4 both sucked, and Klaus is incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, because many people haven't seen the film, and it's relatively new, I'm not going to give any spoilers, because I want you to watch it. Because, like, it's funny, it's sad, it's really powerful, it's a great new take on the story of Santa. There's loads of really clever elemental representations for characters, and just like really start smart storytelling that doesn't need dialogue. So there's loads of like, similar to like WALL-E, it's got loads of like ways that they show things in animation and nature and the things that are on screen without the dialogue that show really important emotional plot points. Obviously the dialogue's good too though. And it's really good for kids. Like, it's good for kids and adults.
Yeah.
Director Sergio Pablos had wanted to do a traditionally animated film, but he wanted to see how the animation would have evolved without the switch to computer-generated animation. So the studio used CGI lighting techniques with hand-drawn animation to create a unique animation style for the story. So it was CGI lighting, but with hand-drawn animation.
Right.
And that's why it looks incredible. The person who voiced the girl, Sammy... the Sammy girl, Margu, she didn't speak any English. Sergio Pablos travelled all the way to Tromsø, I think that's it, is in Norway, where she lives, and her whole recording session was done using translation and mimicry.
Wow.
Because she doesn't speak English, and in the film, none of her people speak English either.
Yeah.
They all speak their own native language.
Nice.
This is the first traditionally hand-drawn animated movie to make use of volumetric lighting and texturing to give it a more 3D-like look.
Yeah.
The fictional town of Smirensburg was based on Smeerenburg, an actual town that existed in Norway, which used to be a prosperous whaling post in the 17th century. So almost all of this is like based in Norway. And when the animators were designing Smeerensburg, they used loads of sharp angles and triangles to show that the environment wasn't friendly or comfortable. But inside Klaus's cabin, they made everything look sturdy and strong, much like Klaus himself.
Yeah.
And J.K. Simmons, who is the voice of Klaus, actually once worked as a mall Santa when he was pursuing an acting career out of college.
That is precious.
Yeah. It's the first animated film to get an award from Netflix. Jason Schwartzman ad-libbed most of his lines, or at least a lot of his lines. The director reckons that only about 40% of his dialogue in the final film is scripted. And the film had been in development for nearly 10 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So they spent a long time making sure this film was perfect, and it really shows.
I just have to say something though.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Jason Schwartzman also plays?
Yes.
It's Gideon
Yeah.
from Scott Pilgrim.
Yep.
I love it.
It's right. Yeah, you have to watch this film. Like,
Definitely. Like,
as soon as this podcast is over,
seen,
go watch this film. It's so good.
You listener, right now. I don't even care if it's not Christmas. Go watch Klaus.
Yeah. If you're not listening to this over the Christmas period at some point, what are you doing? It's about Christmas films. Yeah, I've got a couple of honorable mentions as well. Have you got any?
Yeah, I do actually.
Do you want to shoot yours off first?
So, Mrs. Santa Claus.
No idea what that is.
I can't remember the name of the woman who's in it, so I'm going to quickly... Angela Lansbury.
Okay.
So I'll just quickly show you a picture of her. Like, she is, to me, she's like the old woman.
The old woman.
She is.
This looks like an old film.
Angela Lansbury.
What is it? When did it come out?
1996. So it's actually.
It looks a lot older than that.
Yeah. This film actually reminds me.
It's a low budget film.
Yeah. Low budget, but it reminds me a lot of my nan.
It looks like it was made in the frickin' 70s.
It actually does. But yeah, it was like my nan's favourite Christmas film. So I was like, it just reminds me a lot of her. So it's like, it's good.
Okay.
I also have Four Christmases.
Yeah.
Which has, I think it's Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon.
Okay.
And Fred Claus, which also has Vince Vaughn in it.
Okay. Alright, my honourable mentions are Die Hard, A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas, which is their Christmas film, which is so over the top stupid, and it's also
Wonderful.
in 3D. And then Trading Places, which is technically a Christmas film. Yeah. Right, that's good. Right, so we've got a bunch of Christmas films to watch now, which means I'm going to have to watch loads of Christmas films over this Christmas period.
Yep.
And
it's going to be something.
If you haven't seen any of these films, you need to go watch them.
Yeah, Jesus.
And if there's any films that we haven't mentioned that you love as Christmas films,
let us know.
yeah, let us know at the As Yet Untitled Podcast on Instagram, Facebook.
We'll probably watch them next year.
Yeah,
But
we have too many this year already.
But we'll watch them.
Yeah, and if we think they're good, then we'll let you guys know as well. Like anytime you people tell us stuff, we'll let you know that we've heard, and we'll talk about it on the next podcast possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, next episode. I don't know what the next ones are going to be about.
We'll figure out.
We've got a bunch planned, and we'll catch you in the new year.
Yeah, we'll see where our new year takes us.
Yeah.
See you guys in 2021, and have a good Christmas.
Hopefully COVID's over by then. No. Hopefully it at least gets better.
Yeah.
All right.
But have a good Christmas. Stay safe.
See you in the apocalypse.
Bye.
Bye.